in today's video, I'm super excited because I finally get to put in a 120-inch projector screen that I've wanted to have in here for quite a while. This is my home theater setup, and if you haven't seen my last video where we had to put together, you should definitely check that out in order to understand how this whole place came together. Now, you may have been wondering why I didn't have the screen put in the last video, and that was because I didn't have the right product, the one that I was looking for, what I consider to be a good fit for this space. Now in today's video, that's all going to be changing. I'm going to be putting up a 120-inch Fresnel ambient light rejecting screen up on this wall right here. Now that's not the only thing I'm going to do. You guys are going to see throughout the video, there's going to be a little bit of DIY work involved besides just building up the screen and putting it up on the wall. The biggest thing I want to show you guys in this video is that having a screen definitely takes the viewing experience up to a whole nother level. Okay, so like I said, I'm super excited and ready to get cracking on this. Let's do this, y'all. To start things off, what I did was quickly swap out the only receptacle on the projection wall. I'd originally installed a white one to match the existing paint, but since the wall color was about to change, that had to go too. I replaced it with the same 15 amp receptacle in black to better match the new paint that I'll be adding soon. I've done this kind of DIY work more times than I can count, so the whole thing took me less than 5 minutes. To avoid running into the same issue with the speakers, I decided to paint those black as well. For this process, I used an oil-based spray paint I picked up from a local hardware store. I took the grills outside, laid all three out on a piece of cardboard box, and applied the first coat. The can mentioned a 20-minute drying time, and with the sun out in full force that day, it didn't take very long before I was able to apply the second coat. While letting those completely dry out, I moved on to prepping the wall for paint. I started by applying painter's tape around all four corners and then laid down some sheets to protect the carpet. Once everything was set up, I got straight to cutting in using an angled paintbrush and a handheld paint pail. I worked through it fairly quickly, making sure not to miss the areas around the speakers and the power outlet. Next, I set up my roller brush and used long, even strokes to lay down the first coat. I opted for a matte black paint for the wall in order to minimize gloss and reflections. The first coat went on smoothly and needed just about 4 hours to dry before I moved on to the second one. Like before, I started with the cut-ins and then covered the rest of the wall using the roller, working from left to the right. While the second coat was drying, I took the opportunity to set up my new projector. Now, it's called the Vision Master Pro 2, and it's a 4K RGB triple laser projector from a brand called Valerion. The packaging was solid, and inside the main box, there was a second layer of protection, a rigid protective carrying case for the projector. I threw out the box but decided to hold on to the case for transporting the projector later down the line. The first thing I saw inside it was a quick guide for unboxing the Vision Master Pro 2. It's not something that I usually see with most products, so I thought that was a nice touch. On the back of the card, there were instructions for setting up the 1-year extended warranty that it comes with. I started by taking out the accessories box, which was tucked off to one side. Inside it, I found a 180-watt power adapter, thankfully without a bulky power brick. Those oversized blocks are usually a pain to hide during cable management, so the fact that this one didn't have one made me even more excited to get it mounted. Also in the accessories box was a remote control with dedicated buttons for popular streaming services. It's powered by 2 AAA batteries, and the first pair was included in the package, so I went ahead and popped them in right away. Next, I carefully took out the projector, making sure to handle it gently to avoid any damage at all. It had a solid weight to it and a tough, rigid body that felt premium right from the start. The design is cube-shaped with 14 electroplated metal strips layered horizontally. According to Valerion, these can withstand up to 100 kilograms of pressure, which adds to the overall durability of the device. In terms of color, there's only one choice. This model only comes in a mix of green and black. Personally, I think the color adds to its high-end and modern look, so I'm okay with it. It's definitely a style that I personally like and one that fits right in with the aesthetics that I've created for the room. At the base of the projector, you'll find a threaded mount hole, 2 rear rubber feet, and an adjustable tabletop stand. Now, around the back, there's a hidden compartment that opens up to reveal a full set of I/O ports along with the projector's power button. The Vision Master Pro 2 is equipped with 3 HDMI ports, including one with eARC, 2 USB Type-A ports, an optical output port, an AUX port, and a LAN port. You'll also find a power button and IR receiver for the remote in the same section. On the front side, you'll find the projector's laser light source, spec'd to deliver up to 3000 ISO lumens. If that number doesn't mean much to you, the key takeaway is that it's got a high maximum brightness. In a low light space like mine though, that translates to an even more vibrant and sharp picture, which I'm most definitely excited about. Also on the front are two sensors, a CMOS sensor and a TOF sensor, both positioned towards the left side. On the mesh pattern sides of the projector, you will find heat dissipation vents used by the built-in fans. I really like how seamlessly they've been integrated into the design, as it keeps the overall look clean and makes the vents barely noticeable. The projector also comes with a built-in speaker, which is a really nice option if you're not planning to hook it up to an external audio setup like I am. Lastly, on top of the projector, there's a toggle switch to activate or deactivate far-field Google Assistant. You'll also find dual microphones for voice input, along with an LED indicator that shows the status of the far-field voice system. The next thing I did was bring in the ceiling mount. So it came in a few parts that needed to be assembled during the installation process. There was a mount base, decorative cover, height adjustable rod, and a quick release kit. Now this is something that I haven't seen in a projector before. If you're familiar with video production gear, you've probably come across or even used something similar. The quick release mechanism makes it much easier and faster to detach two connected units. Usually it's used for cameras and tripods, but in this setup, the projector will be taking the place of the camera while the mount will be acting as a tripod. First, I detached the mounting plate from the base, and then I went ahead and connected it to the threaded mount hole under the projector. Once that was secured, I moved on to installing the ceiling mount. Now, there are two ways to go about this setup. One using the height adjustable rod and one without it. The rod includes a built-in cable pathway, but it's only designed for the projector's power cable, unfortunately. That's because the mount base has a very narrow channel that cables need to pass through before reaching the rod. Sadly, that space is just too tight for anything beyond the power cable, which pretty much made it a no-go for my setup. Also, considering the room's low ceiling and the layout of my couch, it made way more sense to skip the rod entirely and mount the projector closer to the ceiling. I mean, if I had higher ceilings, I probably would have had to use it to lower the projector down for better alignment. Installing the projector without the rod was much quicker. All I had to do here was attach the quick release base plates directly to the ceiling mount, then slide the projector into place using the already attached plate until it clicked and locked into place. Adjusting the projector's position after was also really simple. There's a knob right on the quick release base that lets you rotate and fine tune the alignment quickly and easily. Once the projector was locked in place, I moved on to cable connections and management to keep everything clean and tidy. I ran a single HDMI cable to the eARC port, which connects my AVR in the adjacent room. Since it also came with a LAN port, I was finally able to use one of the two Cat6 cables that I had ran for this use case during the development phase. The final step was plugging in the power adapter and securing all excess cables with Velcro ties before neatly tucking them behind the projector. Now, the mount is rated to hold up to 10 kilograms of total weight and is designed for projectors from both the Valerion Vision Master and Stream Master series, but it will work with any projector that has a standard 1/4 inch threaded mount. Something else worth noting is that there's a tripod stand accessory that can be picked up alongside the projector and used as an alternative method of mounting. It features a premium dark walnut finish and a sturdy aluminum alloy base, offering both durability and style. Now, like the ceiling mount, it was also designed for Valerion's Vision Master and Stream Master series, but it works just as well with any projector as long as it has a standard 1/4 inch threaded hole. The stand includes a quick release and lock system that's similar to the one found on the ceiling mount, though it's not exactly the same. Setup is pretty simple. All you gotta do is install the quick release plate on the base of the projector, slide it onto the stand, and then lock it into place. The stand offers a wide range of horizontal and vertical flexibility, making it easy to dial in that perfect projection angle for your space. Moving on, the next step was setting up the new 120-inch Fresnel ALR display. This is another premium product from Valerion, which I'm expecting to take my projector's visual performance to the next level. In addition to ambient light rejection, the screen also provides great viewing angles, sharp image quality, higher contrast, and also supports resolutions up to 8K for future proofing. These are features that are unavailable when using the plain white wall. Inside the box, the first thing I came across was the screen tightly rolled up and securely packaged. Tucked along the sides of that were all the accessories needed to assemble it. The frame components were stashed inside the roll, keeping everything very well protected. After confirming that all the parts were in the box, I brought in the frame pieces into the room and got to working on building it. As I began laying everything out, it became very clear to me that this was not going to be a quick process. I started off by connecting the first two pieces that make up the top side of the frame. Knowing I'd be dealing with a ton of screws, I brought out my electric screwdriver to speed things up. The top and bottom parts of the frame followed the same assembly process, so I simply repeated the steps for the bottom section. The side pieces were shorter and did not require joining multiple parts. Instead, they attach directly to the assembled top and bottom sections using 90-degree joint supports. This made that part of the build way quicker. Next, I brought in the 2 support rods for the frame. These had to be inserted at an angle first and then straightened out to align with the screw holes at both the top and the bottom ends. With the frame now fully assembled, it was time to move on to the screen itself. The manual said to lay out the protective sheet first, then roll out the screen with the help of a second person. With Hannah's help, I was able to unroll the screen and flip it onto its backside effectively. The next step involved inserting fiberglass and tie rods along all 4 edges of the screen in order to help maintain its rectangular shape. Once that was done, we brought the assembled frame back and carefully laid it over the screen, lining everything up according to the instructions in the manual. To secure the screen to the frame, I inserted the provided T-nuts into the tie rods on all sides, wrapping them around the frame. From there, I attached everything firmly using the combination of something called leaf springs and then some screws. The final step was attaching the provided outer frame pieces to all 4 sides, giving the screen a clean, finished look. Once that was done, we carefully moved the fully assembled screen outside to free up space and take measurements in preparation for mounting it onto the wall. We measured the distance between the 2 front speakers and then divided it in half in order to find the center points for the screen placement. Next, we determined the ideal height, positioning the screen slightly closer to the bottom speaker than the ceiling in order to bring the center closer to eye level. According to the setup guide, the screen hangs on 3 mounting brackets, so we took equal measurements from the center points in both directions in order to make sure the brackets were spaced evenly. Next, I moved on to installing the provided wall anchor since there weren't any studs at the mounting points. Fortunately, the wall is built with 2 layers of thick drywall and sound dampening sonopan boards, which gave the anchors plenty of material to grip onto. Once all 6 anchors were in place, I installed the mounting brackets, which didn't take long to do. I also decided to apply the included 3M double-sided tape along the bottom edge of the screen, which seemed to have been provided to help keep the screen from shifting once perfectly leveled. Now, with Hannah's help, I brought the screen back into the room and then we went ahead and mounted it onto the wall. We used a level to ensure that it was perfectly straight, then peeled out the protective film on the 3M strips and pressed the base of the screen firmly against the wall. We also made sure to center it precisely between the front speakers because, let's be honest, my OCD wouldn't let me leave it even slightly off. The first thing that stood out to me was the gray color of the screen, which blended seamlessly with the room's overall aesthetic. I mean, it's much more subtle than a typical white screen or a typical white wall, and in a home theater setup where you're aiming for a moodier, more immersive atmosphere, it fits in perfectly. The screen measures 120 inches diagonally and takes up a large portion of the wall, evenly spaced between the front speakers. Having a dedicated screen also gives the setup a much more refined TV-like feel that feels like having a 120-inch TV compared to the plain white wall that I had there before. Painting the walls, speaker grills, and power receptacle black turned out to be a great decision as well, as it really allows the screen to pop even when the projector is turned off. The moment of truth was finally here, and I was more than ready to set up the Vision Master Pro 2 along with the newly mounted ALR screen. I powered it on and went through the initial setup, starting with the installation orientation and the projector's placement. From there, I used the projector's automatic keystone correction to align the image to the screen's 16:9 aspect ratio. It worked great on the first try, and the projector was able to adjust the image perfectly to match the screen's dimensions. If it hadn't got it right, there's also a manual option to fine-tune things. I ran through the rest of the setup process and jumped right into Google TV Plus OS, which is what the projector runs on. Now, if you didn't get the image perfectly dialed in during the setup process, there's no need to worry because the general settings menu also provides plenty of options to fine-tune things afterwards. You can adjust keystone correction, zoom, sharpness, and a whole lot more to get the image looking exactly the way that you want it. In my setup, the projector connects to an AVR sitting on a shelf in my media server rack in the adjacent room. I use it to manage all of my audio, video, and media devices from a single point, so in my case, the built-in OS wouldn't be needed for media playback. Right now, I've got 5 devices connected to the AVR. A Superbox S6 Ultra, an Apple TV 4K, a PS5, an Xbox Series X, and a 5.1.2 Dolby Atmos surround sound system. If you're planning to use the Vision Master Pro 2 without a separate streaming box, you'll be happy to know that the built-in Google TV Plus OS is more than capable of handling all your streaming and movie watching needs. It runs all the major streaming apps like Netflix, Disney Plus, and a whole lot more. All you have to do is sign in with your Google account and you're off to the races. I also recently added something called a wireless IR blaster to fix an issue that I've been dealing with since putting the space together. Specifically not being able to use the AVR's remote control from inside the theater room. If you didn't already know by now, most AVRs rely on old school IR remote controls, which require a direct line of sight in order to work. That becomes an annoying problem when your AVR is hidden away in a cabinet or a server rack that's out of sight, just like mine. The wireless IR blaster came with 2 separate units that can communicate wirelessly over a decent distance. I installed the emitter on the AVR itself and placed the transmitter just below the ALR screen. This setup completely solved the problem that I was having and now lets me control the AVR from right inside the theater room without any issues. If you're a smart home enthusiast like me, then you'll probably like that the Vision Master Pro 2 is compatible with some of the most popular smart home setups, including Apple HomeKit, Google Home, and Alexa. I added it to my Apple Home setup, which gave me smart control over the projector, and in turn made it easy to set up home automations like, for example, having all the lights in the room go off whenever the projector is turned on. Now, when it comes to the viewing experience with the new projector and the screen combo, the difference is immediately noticeable. The new setup delivers more vibrant colors and deeper contrast, which really takes the overall picture quality to a whole new level. On the Series X, the console was set to 1080p initially, which I'm not sure why it did that, but I think it was to maximize the projector's 120Hz maximum refresh and a much lower latency. The resolution can also be set to 4K, but then it's limited to 60Hz and the latency increases. In the case of a PC, you'd be able to get up to 240Hz, but that would be at 1080p out of the Vision Master Pro 2. The screen also offers better viewing angles, so if you're seated off slightly to one side of the room, the image still holds up pretty well. The Fresnel technology built into the screen also allows it to reject up to 85% of ambient light coming from the sides and above, then redirect it back towards the viewer, which results in a noticeably brighter and clearer image. Most of the time, I keep the room completely blacked out when watching content or gaming, but occasionally I leave the ambient wall light on. With the screen in place, light spill is far less noticeable and no longer washes out the image like it used to with the white wall. If you're planning on using the projector in a space with windows or ambient lighting, I'd strongly recommend going with an ALR screen as it makes a huge difference in how well the image holds up. Both the screen and the projector also support active 3D viewing, though I wasn't able to test out that feature since, well, I didn't have a pair of 3D glasses on hand. Compared to projecting onto a basic white wall, the ALR screen is easily one of the best upgrades you can make for a dedicated home theater space. It's an absolute no-brainer if you actually care about maximizing the image quality produced by your projector. So far, I'm really happy with the upgrade and firmly believe that this is a huge step forward in both the aesthetics and the feel of my home theater space. Between the Vision Master Pro 2, the 120-inch ALR screen, and the new paint job, the entire setup feels much more polished, immersive, and purpose-built for media consumption. Now, whether I'm gaming, watching a live game, or streaming movies, the experience is on a whole new level now compared to where I first started. Anyway, make sure to go ahead and check out the links that I've got down below if you're interested in finding out more about the Valerion Vision Master Pro 2 or any of the premium accessories that you can pick up alongside it. Like, for example, that Fresnel ALR display. That's pretty much all I've got for you guys in this one. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and picked up a few things from it. Let me know down in the comment section what you guys think about the new upgrades, and I will see you guys in my next video.